So I've been playing with OpenCode for a couple hours now, and I wanted to do a live review of a real-world use case with production code. This is Ruby on Rails view code that I have running in production. OpenCode is an LLM coding assistant. You install it with brew install OpenCode, and then you just run it using OpenCode. This window then has access to your current directory, and you can ask it questions about your code base, let's say. Now, the real-world use case that I have today is I have this call to the icon method. So this is for a website. I display this icon in a bunch of different places. As you can see here, I reuse the same code in a bunch of different places. So I figured a nice, neat little contained use case is to just ask OpenCode to extract that call into a separate method. Now you can choose from different models. You can list them using /models. I was using Big Pickle before, but it wasn't very good. It got confused. It thought it had to include one helper and another for the methods from the first one to be available in the second one, which in Ruby on Rails is not true. All the methods from all helpers are available across all other helpers and all view code by default, and I had to explain that to it. So I switched to GLN 4.7 in hopes that this will do a better job. So let's tell it I use throughout my helpers, extract that into a separate method called bounty icon. And it's kind of, well, I could have told it to put the bounty icon method in the bounties helper, but let's see if it's smart enough to infer that. Yeah, it seems like bounties helper. Cool. So that's good. And it lists everything it does. It says it's thinking. That's not true. That's a lie. I wish they would just say loading. But one thing I noticed is it's kind of slow. You know, this is a pretty simple task. Oh, we've got an error. Okay. Bounty, but this is not something it should have done. It shouldn't have given me a whole new bounty button. So, I mean, but this is kind of neat. It shows you all the changes that makes. Because there are no duplicate bounty button methods, because you made a second one. Okay, now I removed it again. So you can kind of see it. It doesn't, like, what is it doing here? Why is it adding a new bounty button method? File now looks good. Okay, now it's making the edits it needs to make, I think. It's getting more errors. So at this point, it's pretty clear that if I had just done this manually, I would have been done by now. This is a very simple task. This should, in an ideal world, you would just tell it and it would take 5 seconds and it would be done. It would know exactly what to do. Obviously, the model is important here. Maybe if I used a paid model, it would work better. These are free models. Overall, I really like this. I like having a terminal-based prompt. I don't want to switch back and forth between a browser and the terminal. I don't want to have to copy-paste code into a browser. You know, so this is all very useful. But at this point, it's a liability. For a task this small, maybe my prompt sucked. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I should have been clearer about what it needs to do. But it did correctly infer where to put it. Done. 2 minutes 57 seconds. Is that really the best it can do? So let's see what did it change? It added a bounty icon method, so that's good. Replaced it in the activities helper, that looks good. Replaced it in the bounties helper, that also looks good. Replaced it in the bounties helper some more. There's another one, that's good. Something you have to check with LLMs is that you can't really trust. There's no guarantee that it's not going to make other unrelated changes. Like I would not put it past it to make some change to the copy. Like start a bounty for this idea. It might flip the case, or it might add a word or change a word. It might turn a straight quote into a curly one. Maybe not in code, but if this was just regular copy, it might change it. So there's things to keep in mind. Bounty icon, I think that looks good. Bounty icon. So as you can see, like I'm reviewing every single change because I don't trust it to do this correctly on its own. These changes look good, I think. Let's also verify that there's no other invocation of this left. Okay, that's good. So there's only this one. Maybe there's an icon megaphone on its own somewhere. No? All right. So yeah, that could be. I think that's probably good. I basically view coding with an assistant like this. I kind of view the assistant like a junior programmer. It's like pair programming with a junior programmer, which is still useful. There's still a net positive in general because you get a sounding board, you get to bounce off ideas, you get feedback. Sometimes they catch errors that you would have caught on your own or that would have taken you longer to catch on your own. So that's all very useful. You get mental clarity just talking it through. The things we used to do when you learn programming is there was that rubber duck analogy, or some people would actually get a rubber duck and squeeze it and talk to it to explain the problem to it, and then realize that by the time they were finished explaining the problem, they had already solved it because talking through it helped them so much and helped them understand the problem and then solve it in turn. So this is very similar. This is like that on steroids. So it's very useful for that. But I'm opposed to vibe coding in the sense that you could just pass tasks off and it'll just do it for you and you can just trust the result. That's just not the case. So yeah, in this particular instance, I don't think it was really worth using OpenCode for this. I mean, this was, like I said, this was such a simple task and it took forever to do it. I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to try different models. For now, my impression is this is underwhelming. Hopefully with a better model and different tasks, it'll do better.